You know that music, right? And you definitely know those shapes.
It's a game of, simple blocks, even simpler rules. For most of us, it's just this fun, casual puzzle we've all picked up at some point, right? You clear a line, you score some points, you try to keep up as it gets faster and faster. It's just familiar. It's super nostalgic.
But what if I told you that under all that simplicity, it's actually one of the most demanding, most intense competitive sports on the entire planet? I'm talking about a world of high-stakes, professional play where legends are made, and where legends are shattered.
See, this isn't just some casual pastime anymore. It's got a real formal arena. We're talking about the classic Tetris World Championship, or CTWC as everyone calls it. This is where the absolute best in the world come to play.
And get this is the battleground. Since 2010, the top players, they aren't competing on some new, flashy version of the game. Nope, they're playing on the original 1989 Nintendo Entertainment System release. Yeah, the one so many of us grew up with, running on those old, bulky CRT TVs.
And for almost a decade, that whole scene was completely dominated by one guy, a true titan of the game, Jonas Neubauer. Seriously, he wasn't just a player, he was the face of competitive Tetris. I mean, just look at his record. It was absolutely staggering. He made it to the finals in the first 9 tournaments and took home the championship trophy 7 times. 7! He was the undisputed king, just a seemingly unbeatable force.
But, his legacy was so much more than just winning. This quote, it's actually engraved on the memorial trophy that's now named in his honor. And it just shows you the kind of champion he really was. He didn't just play the game. He built a community. He inspired a whole generation of players, not just with his incredible skill, but with his spirit. So, okay, with a figure this dominant, you'd think the story was pretty much written, right? But then, everything changed. And I mean everything. This was the beginning of a total revolution in how the game was played.
It's 2018, and the unthinkable happens. Jonas Neubauer, the 7-time champ, he's defeated in the finals. And not just by anyone, but by a 16-year-old newcomer named Joseph Salih. This was like a seismic shock to the entire community. It was the start of a completely new era.
And Salih's win wasn't just about a new champion. No, it was a fundamental shift in how people played the game. The classic DAS playstyle, which had been king for years, suddenly gave way to the insane speed of hyper-tapping. And, believe it or not, even that would soon be outdone by an even crazier technique called rolling.
So, what's the big difference here? Well, for years, players used something called DAS. That's delayed auto shift. You basically just press and hold the D-pad to move a piece. Simple. But this new generation, guys like Salih, they were using hyper-tapping and rolling. They weren't holding the button down. Oh no. They were tapping it at these incredible, inhuman speeds. It allowed them to move pieces way faster than anyone ever thought was possible. And the results? Phew, they speak for themselves. Once the rolling technique came along, the world record score didn't just get beaten, it more than quadrupled. Let that sink in. 4 times higher. Players were suddenly hitting scores and reaching levels that, just a few years before, were considered pure fantasy, impossible.
This explosion in human performance, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are these players actually up against? Why is getting really good at this simple-looking game so incredibly difficult? Well, the answer, it turns out, isn't just about fast reflexes. It's actually buried deep in the mathematical code of the game itself. You see, it's not just hard. It's what scientists would call an unsolvable puzzle.
And this isn't just a theory. In 2024, researchers from MIT finally put a name to it. They published a paper that proves something truly astounding about the game's fundamental nature. They proved that Tetris is what's known as NP-complete. Okay, that's a really complex computer science term, I know. But here's a simple way to think about it. It's a type of problem that's so incredibly complex that even a supercomputer couldn't figure out the perfect way to play without trying every single possible move. It's like trying to pack a suitcase with an infinite number of weirdly shaped items. There's just no shortcut to the perfect solution.
So what does that mean for the players? It means that basically every single goal you have in Tetris, clearing the most lines, just surviving as long as you can, getting the most Tetrises, keeping your stack from getting too high, all of those things are NP hard. In other words, there is no perfect solvable strategy, ever. It just doesn't exist.
And that right there, that brings us to the real heart of this story. If the game is mathematically impossible to solve, then what in the world are these players doing? Well, they're pushing the human limit.
This really gets at the true nature of the challenge, right? The top players, they're not just moving their hands faster. They are wrestling with a fundamentally unsolvable problem. They're pushing their intuition and their strategy into a space where perfect calculation just isn't possible.
And that's what makes this whole story so fascinating. As the writer Jason Kotke put it, this collective push to innovate, going from DAS to hyper-tapping to rolling, it's a perfect little example of how we humans make progress in any field. It's just what we do. A group of passionate people relentlessly pushing up against a boundary. Because at the end of the day, these players know they can't beat Tetris. Not in the way you beat other games. The game is literally designed to be unwinnable. So the competition has changed. It's not about man versus machine anymore. It's evolved into a race against the absolute limits of human potential. Our dexterity, our creativity, our endurance.
So yeah, the game itself is provably unbeatable. It's like a mathematical law of difficulty. But that human drive to innovate, to find a new way, to get just a little bit better, that has no limit. So the only real question left is, what incredible, impossible barrier are they going to shatter next?